The next speaker is Tenzin Lobsang, who is the Vice President of the Tibetan community in Australia, and I invite you to come forward now. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm going to read the statement of Sikyong, the political leader of Dr. Lobsang Sangay, on the 55th anniversary of Tibetan National Uprising Day. 55 years ago, thousands of Tibetans spontaneously gathered on this day in Lhasa, the capital city of Tibet, to protect His Holiness the Dalai Lama and protest against the Chinese occupation. 7 days later, His Holiness the Dalai Lama left Lhasa and fled to India. 80,000 Tibetans followed to him into exile. I visited Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh this January and was profoundly moved to see the path His Holiness the Dalai Lama took to enter India. I also visited Bumdila and Tuding, where thousands of Tibetans sought refuge. There is no escape from painful reality that many of the elders who were forced to make the journey into exile in 1959 have died without fulfilling their dreams of returning to their homeland. Similarly, innumerable Tibetans in Tibet have died without reuniting with family members or realizing their freedom. I take great solace, however, that their hopes and dream lives and grow in their children. Demonstration of resilience and resolve by Tibetans inside Tibet, from the uprising and resistance in Kham and Amdo in 1950s to the protest in Lhasa in 1980s, to the nationwide uprising in 2008, and the recent self-immolation revealed that the struggle of Tibet will not abate. The Tibetan struggle today is led by a new generation of Tibetans inside Tibet and in exile. It is the younger generation of Tibetans in Tibet who clearly and loudly demand their identity, freedom and unity. The new generation of Tibetans in exile participates in similar endeavors. The school children in Chacha has demanded the Tibetan language instruction in their school. Tibetans in Duru have refused to hoist Tibetan flag on their rooftop, and the outcries over the human laws and the environmental destruction of Jama mine in Madro Ganka reach our ears. This protest unambiguously refutes the Chinese propaganda that, except for a few, Tibetans are happy in Tibet. Since 2009, there have been 127 self-immolations all across Tibet. Despite the repeated appeal not to engage in such drastic action, self-immolations have continued. Chudum Gyatso, a monk who self-immolated on December 19, 2013, wrote in his last statement, "Can you hear me? Can you see it? Can you hear it? I'm compelled to burn my precious body for the return of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, for the release of imprisoned Panchen Lama, and for welfare of the 6 million Tibetans." The Kashak, the cabinet minister of Tibetan government in exile, expressed its deepest respect to all the brave men and women in Tibet. The Kashak is listening to the calls of the end of repression and suffering of Tibetans inside Tibet. It is for this reason that its primary and immediate object is to peacefully resolve the issue of Tibet through dialogue as soon as possible. At the same time, the Kashak needs a long-term strategy to strengthen and sustain our struggle if necessary. One completion the other, so the Kashak will make effort to both resolve the issue of Tibet through dialogue and successfully sustain the Tibetan struggle. My fellow Tibetans, we must bear in mind that the year 2020 will mark 70 years since the invasion of Tibet by the People's Republic of China. By then, the generation of the Tibetan will memories of a free Tibet will have greatly dwindled. His Holiness the Dalai Lama will turn 85, and by that year he will have lead the Tibetan people for 70 uninterrupted years. The next generation of Tibetan leader inside and outside Tibet has to cope with the crucial and challenging reality. The Tibetan inside Tibet will have no personal memories of traditional Tibet, while the Tibetan outside Tibet will know only life lived in exile. Exiled Tibetans constitute only 2.5% of 6 million Tibetans, but it is likely there will be an equal number of Tibetans in the West and in India, Nepal and Bhutan. Exile is a precarious phase of uncertainty and contingency, and occupation can be dangerous transition to permanent subjugation. The challenges we face will be reconciling the distance and the gap between life in exile and life under Chinese occupation. We will have to learn to carry forward the freedom struggle under these very different Tibetan realities and experiences, none of which are rooted in personal memories of a free Tibet. How do we achieve this? As a long-term strategy, we need to build self-reliance in the Tibetan world, in thought and action. Our more than 50 years old movement cannot depend solely on others to help us achieve our goals. It is time to assume individual responsibility and collective leadership and stand on our own feet. We need to build our individual and collective strength. We need to reflect deeply. I believe that the education is the most potent and the realistic investment and tools. The more skillful we educate our entire population, the more successful we will develop stronger foundation of self-reliant economy, technological, governmental system. Our global support knows our cause is just, and then they value our Buddhist heritage. The Tibetan embrace the value of humility, integrity, and resilience as the bedrock foundation of the Tibetan struggle. To that, we must add modern education to achieve our goal. It is the combination of traditional values and contemporary education that we will keep our struggle rigorously dynamic and formidable. It is crucial that younger Tibetans study the language and history of the nation. It is equally important that the record of the stories and the narratives of individual families and the ancestral land. Continue to enjoy momos in Tibetan restaurant, wear chubas in celebration of the Tibetan culture, but for identity to take stronger root, we must educate ourselves, engage deeply with the Tibetans from Tibet, and reflect individually on the challenges that lies ahead. In 2014, it is a year to engage, educate, empower ourselves and the movement. To maintain unity and achieve effectiveness in the exiled community, it is central core is a critical for Tibetan, and the Central Tibetan Administration serve as this replicable core. The Kashak invites dedicated youth to take leadership position in the Central Tibetan Administration and to other Tibet-related organizations. I welcome the recent meeting between His Holiness the Dalai Lama and President Barack Obama. I appreciate President Obama's strong endorsement of the middle way approach. A genuine autonomy of Tibetan through the middle way approach aspires to replace political repression with the basic freedom, economic marginalization with economic empowerment, social discrimination with social equality, culture assimilation with culture promotion, and environmental protection. We are committed to the middle way approach as the most effective approach to end the suffering in Tibet. It is our hope that the new Chinese leader, led by Xi Jinping, will pay a heed and adopt this pragmatic and moderate stand. Kashak would like to thank the great nation of India and its people after assuming political responsibility in Dharamsala. I came to realize more than ever how much India has supported and continues to support Tibet and the Tibetan people. Kashak has also extended deep appreciation to the government, parliamentarian, Tibet support groups and individuals around the world and urged them to continue journey with us. I'm happy to announce that the Central Tibetan Administration will observe 2014 as the year of His Holiness the Dalai Lama to pay tribute to his visionary leadership and contribution to Tibet and the world. I'm also happy to remind Tibetans and our friends across the globe that 2014 marked as the 25th anniversary of His Holiness the Dalai Lama receiving the Nobel Peace Prize. On April 25th, we will also commemorate the 25th birthday of the 11th Panchen Gendu Triginima. The Tibetan people have risen times after times to overcome the great adversity in the long history of our civilization. Today, our sense of identity, solidarity, and dignity is deeper than ever. If we remain united and bring the rich traditions of the elders to interplay with the innovative and dynamism of the younger generation, I firmly believe that the Chinese government will have no choice but to address our aspiration. Dear Tibetan brothers and sisters inside Tibet, our journey may be long and the challenges may appear daunting, but we will succeed. In Tawang, I saw the path His Holiness the Dalai Lama, our parents and grandparents took from Tibet to India. From a distance, I could see the great mountains and rivers of Tibet. I took it as a good omen to begin 2014 that, like you, I saw a path to Tibet. Thank you. 10 March 2014.
Thank you. Powerful words.